Here we are at Château Haut Bailly. It's just the beginning of En Primeur 2010 vintage. I'm here with David Sokolin on your left and Mark Wessels on the right. What is your impression so far of the 2010 vintage?
What do you think, Dave?
I think, we just started out this morning. The one common thread I see in the vintage is its intensity and the power combined with, a lot
high alcohol.
High alcohol and tannin.
Yeah,
it's really
true.
Tannin, This is not a vintage like 09 that's super fruit forward, super accessible. And the question is, what's the maturity, what's the arc of these wines? Is it going to take 10, 20 years to drink these wines? Because it's not going to take that long for 09.
It was interesting that the Mission Aubryon we had at Aubryon was 15.1%, yeah?
Correct, alcohol, yeah. These seem to be relatively high alcohol wines, which the question then becomes balance, of course. Do they have enough fruit to back up that alcohol? And so far, obviously, the good ones do. There's more acidity in this vintage, so they do have a bit of a brighter character to them. So it should be interesting. In that respect, perhaps more like the 05 vintage. So it's going to be an interesting week of tasting these wines. I was advised earlier last week from one of the negociants to bring 2 toothbrushes because this is a concentrated vintage.
Don't show your teeth.
No. You gotta remember to smile with your lips pursed. So what about price-wise? I mean, what are your hopes and expectations for the prices?
We always hope for lower prices.
So hold on a second.
You only know what you've been told, and so far, Mark, you might confirm this. It feels like they're trying to get a 10 to 20% price increase, and for Americans, that means if you look at the currency issue, I think the euro is about 10 points higher-ish than it was a year ago. So the real question is, if this is a 30% price hike, what does that do to wines at different price levels? $20, $30 bottles, they can absorb that. When you get to $300 bottles turning into $400 bottles, it might be a different story, especially if the vintage isn't perceived as good as the 09 vintage, which I ultimately don't think it will be. Mm-hmm. So I think what you're going to see this vintage do is come out at higher prices significantly, and I think what it's going to do is clear out the 09 vintage globally.
No, I think
what do you think?
If the prices do come out higher, I think you're right, it will clear out the 09s. I don't know if it's going to come out at higher prices. I don't think it's going to come out at lower pricing. So we'll see. I am very nervous about the pricing of this vintage. I don't think
our American
clients are in the mood to pay higher prices.
Is there a certain vintage of the century fatigue setting in? You think?
Yes.
It's a good point. That's a very good point. That's a good point. But even all things being equal, if they were of equal quality, the 09s would be cheaper just on currency, on a currency trade.
True.
So I think you're going to see things that are priced lower and that are older sell more quickly than younger and more expensive.
We'll
and
see
and
what
that
they
apply
do.
and that relates to the back vintages as well, which are trading at a discount to younger wines.
So you'll probably be buying less wine this year if the prices are as high, if high.
True. I would
Yeah,
definitely
100%.
think we would buy less wine if the prices are high. If the prices come out lower, if they decide to get right with the price, then we'll do more business without a doubt. But if at the same price or higher compared to the 09s, we will do less business in 010, I believe.
Okay.
I think you're going to see this whole thing, a higher priced 010, fuel the back vintages really in a really strong way. I think you're going to see all the back vintages trade up to wherever they have the 010s if they're trading at lower levels. It's going to be interesting to see.
Okay, well, we'll catch up later in the week as well. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, cheers.